Hey, yo, what is going on, guys? Got a brand new deck guide for you guys today. Today, we're going to be going over the Prowler deck that I was using yesterday and had a lot of fun with and actually performed very well for us here. We were using some Hydra Stomper with the Prowler, and honestly, I wasn't a huge fan of Arcana Ball. Still probably not a huge fan of Arcana Ball, but it's kind of, in a way, necessary just in the meta right now with just all the huge power slam that people are doing in the moment. So you have those as some options, but you're leaning more into moving a bunch of different cards in order to get that Prowler value and having a lot of potentially big static cards with some of that Vision. But anywho, let's go ahead and jump right into it. So in case you guys did not know, the Prowler is the brand new Series 5 card that released yesterday. It was a 3-cost, 4-powered card with the ability, on reveal, add 2 Thieves' Tools to your hand, set their cost to 0 if a card moved last turn. Keep in mind, this on reveal has to be prompted with a move card the previous turn. It does not retroactively look at it every single turn like Miles does. But these skills are going to be as followed. We have the Flight Harness, which is an on reveal. Give your highest powered card +1 power, move it to the right. The Remote Minds, which is on reveal, inflict 2 enemy cards here with the highest power with -2 power. And then you also have Vibro Gauntlets, which is on reveal. Give your highest powered card here +2 power, and then you get +1 energy next turn. As we look at the deck over here, of course, we do have, like I said, it's pretty much a Hydra Stomper original kind of list here, but I am also using Vision in here to have some of that hidden kind of stats your opponent has to play into Vision lane in order to move Vision, or your cards are just continually going to get bigger and bigger. You, of course, have Arcana Ball as one of your tech pieces here to offset your opponent's moves, as well as destroy one of the cards in that Mercury lane. You, of course, also do have Hellion as one of your cards to be able to move up to potentially 3 cards, if you have the space, of course, to be able to move them into the Hellion lane to get some of that Stomper value, which gives you additional movements for your Spider-Punk, gives you some Craven value. Of course, you have Batroc in here with all these cards moving. Batroc gains power and moves wherever that card moved to. You have Silk jumping around the board to be able to get some Stomper value. You have Miles Morales for all these moving cards. You have Sam Wilson's Shield for another card you can move potentially every single turn if you get Sam Wilson down on curve. And then, yeah, you're just kind of just doing a Hydra Stomper kind of list. You're trying to move as many cards as possible, get power. Craven gets cards for power from cards moving onto the Craven lane. Silk bouncing around gives you a bunch of options. Batroc moving with cards that move gives you extra power on lanes. Viv giving you that bonus power. If Viv moves at the beginning of the turn, Batroc will follow Viv instead of following Silk, so you can kind of look at that in potential ways to either declog yourself or just make your opponents really have to commit more power into other lanes, because getting that extra power on Batroc while the Viv moved can be a solid option for you. And then, of course, you have Spider-Punk, which can inflict negative power onto your opponents. He steals that power. Like, you have a bunch of different cards in here, a bunch of different moving pieces that your opponent really has to calculate, like, where cards are going kind of thing, which is why I really like the Hellion in this too, because your opponent has to think, which cards are they actually moving with Hellion? How is this actually going to work? And Craven can scale crazy vertically. I think you'll see here a game where Craven gets to 20 power. Seems pretty good. Of course, we had like a really good location with Asteroid M. But this deck list feels really solid, and it's nothing like a super crazy moving list. You still definitely have to think about your plays with this, like when you're thinking about the math-wise for your Stomper value, what moves first for your Batroc, where you want Silk to land. Like, you kind of have to plan around that. But it's not honestly too difficult, maybe opposed to I need to move Torch here, I need to do Dagger here. Torch is going to double to this, Dagger's going to do that. But, so, like, I really enjoy that, and I don't really necessarily want to be playing Torch at the moment. But, yeah, this is going to be the gist of the list. Let's go ahead and break down why we have each card in this list individually. Starting out first and foremost, we got Batroc in here. Batroc with pretty much any card moving in this list gives you another move for your Hydra Stomper, and this also gets +2 tap power for the move. It happens once per turn. Another just pretty solid scaler in this list. Next, of course, we have Sam Wilson. Pairs really well with the Batroc. It follows the shield, so more often than not, you're playing Batroc onto the shield, so you get both those movements, especially if you can set up like a Sam Wilson into a Craven lane as well. You get that extra continual buff onto that, which is really nice. Next, of course, we have Craven. Whenever a card moves onto Craven, Craven gets +2, and that's not limited to once per turn. So multiple times in a turn, you can have Craven continually get procs here. Of course, then you have Silk, another card that can move repeatedly through the course of a turn and the game in order to get Craven value, get Batroc value, and get Stomper value. It just works incredibly well in this list. Next, of course, you have Hydra Stomper. Like I said, there's so many different moving pieces in this list. It gets +1 power for each card you've moved this game, and it is ongoing, so it doesn't have to be on the board while you're moving cards around. You can play this later in the game, which is really nice. Next, of course, we do have Spider-Punk, which is, of course, the season pass card. You can move this once per game, and it gets, it gains 2 power, and your opponent's card loses 2 power. And then something really cool, like, with Hellion, you can do this again. So, Spider-Punk going to potentially a 3/7, but also afflicting -4 power across the board is really good. So it feels really solid, especially in this list. And then, of course, we have Viv Vision. Viv Vision's another card I have in here. I'm kind of just more of a Viv enjoyer, I'd say. It is not necessarily a necessity in here. You could play something like maybe a Madam Web, or if you want to do like a Cloak or something, instead of Viv. But I like the Viv for that kind of hidden power. Your opponent has to kind of keep in mind, how many times did Viv go off? What is the power of the card they're playing down? I like Viv as that kind of like surprise factor, and it allows me kind of to mitigate where I'm wanting cards to go throughout the rest of the game. Next, of course, we have Mercury. There's a lot of move going on at the moment. Mercury, of course, is a card that can move herself, which also is another enabler for Stomper, which is also going back to Viv. If Viv moves at the beginning of a turn, that also is a good potential proc for your Kraven, and it is a proc for your Stomper. And it can move Batroc instead of having to have Batroc follow like a Silk or follow a Shield. Like, you do have some pretty awesome options there. And then, of course, yeah, we have Mercury in here. You're running Cannonball also in this list to kind of go well with that Mercury ability. The 3/4 stat line also is still pretty solid, and just you're using this as like a counter piece for a lot of your opponent's things. You can also not always just Merc Ball on 6. You can also Merc Ball potentially earlier if it's going to offset some of your opponent's combos and other situations here. Then, of course, we have the Prowler. I really like the Prowler in this, especially because if you can get the movements down and the skills cost 0, it gives you options to be able to get the extra energy, be able to afflict negative power again onto your opponent's cards, as well as giving cards in your, that location that +2, and then also getting extra energy. Like, it's a really good, just use sourceful, like, kind of tool you have in here. No pun intended, in order to get some value. And most of these skills should also interact with Silk in some instances. Of course, when you play Silk with Flight Harness, the Flight Harness does not move Silk. You may see that in game 2. I don't know if that was a bug I ran into or if that's actually how it's supposed to occur, but Flight Harness onto Silk did not move Silk again. So just kind of keep that in mind. Of course, we also have Miles in here. Miles just pairs really well, something you can play with a Cannonball on final turn, because more often than not, this is going to be a 1 cost. So you can play a 1/6 with Cannonball. So you're playing a lot of power there and potentially negating what your opponent's trying to do there. And you're moving pieces. Quite often, you're moving them, so like you can have a lot of different values or instances where Miles is just going to be a 1/6 for you to be able to play out with other cards, which I really like. Next, of course, like I said, we have Cannonball in here. You can, of course, do the Merc Ball line, or you can just use this to offset a power place for your opponents to potentially win that lane, so they don't have that extra power on the board, or just that extra power in that lane, which can give you some extra value there. With Cannonball, it's just one of your like tech pieces in this list to kind of solidify a lane for you instead of like a Juggernaut. Maybe you could run a Juggernaut instead of a Cannonball. Just kind of keep in mind, if you do play Juggernaut on a Mercury lane, your opponent's cards are not going to move, so make sure Mercury's not on that Juggernaut lane. I know that's a random kind of shout there, but just kind of keep that in mind. And then next we have Hellion. We have Hellion in here to be able to get some extra Hydra Stomper value, as well as just move a bunch of our cards around to maybe free up some board space for us. Maybe Silk clogged us in a lane we don't really want to be clogged in, or Viv clogged us in a lane we don't want to be clogged in. So like we have Hellion here to kind of move out of some of those options, which is another reason why I was like, maybe you also could do Cloak instead of Viv if you're really not wanting to play the Viv line. I just personally enjoy the Viv line to have that extra unknown power for my opponents to have to calculate to see if they're going to be able to win those lanes, and kind of play maybe a little bit with that unknown. I think gives me more of an advantage over my opponents. But yeah, that's going to be the general gist of this list. If you have any other questions about substitutions, definitely type them down in the comments section below. We're going to jump right into some gameplay from stream. And if you guys do enjoy the gameplay, definitely feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. And definitely feel free to check out the gameplay live on Twitch. Not going to be streaming as much this week just because of all the holidays and stuff going on, but especially next week, we can get back into a lot of very frequent streaming, and we have the brand new season. Very, very, very excited about the Weapon X season. Be on the lookout for a new season overview and for Buy or Bust later this week as well, but I will see you guys at the end of the video. Zombie Galactoroni things over here. Mindscape's a little funky. Let's see, do we get some? We get DC, Spider-Punk. Wow, what a great start for us though. They get my Cannonball, and I know they have Galacti, and they're gonna get a Galacti back now. How's Prowler so far? Prowler is feeling pretty decent, actually. I kind of want to get Viv things. Oh, actually, no, I don't want to get Viv things just in case they don't have... In case they don't have magic, I don't want to do Viv. In case they don't have the magic. Oh, this is also tough. This is also so tough. If they have magic, I will play out magic. Or play out Viv, but I am not seeing their Superior Spider-Man, Surge. Ooh. Am I traveling for holiday? We're actually not traveling. We are not. Well, this is start of turn. So there is a world where this isn't horrible. If they magic... They got my Cannonball, right? They have my Cannonball? This just is a little freaky. I don't know. Yeah, no, the Hydra Stomper variant is so good. They do have magic. And Nico Makari. Okay. I'm gonna go... Do they Shuri right? I think they would Shuri right. I would do this. That. I think it's Prowler here. They Adam and Gwenpool. 2 cards in hand. 2 cards in hand. They're gonna have 9 energy this next turn. I want to destroy one of these cards, I think. We want to hit Luna, I think, here. Ooh, that actually is potentially the high roll I wanted. We don't hit Luna. They Galacti. Silk moves into Galacti. It was close. Very, very close. So we hit the card we needed to hit with Sam. Sam moving into the middle. Let's go. I like strawberry milk, really? Why don't you like strawberry milk? Ooh. This is kind of rough, huh? Kind of rough location. I guess technically if we got like a Prowler, it wouldn't be the worst, but... Domino. This actually is not half bad. Iron Lad hits Forge. I like what we're working with here. A lot. I have Hellion in hand as well. There's also a world where I play a skill here. The next card you play here, so I don't have to play Prowler there. Abomination. All right, so I'm gonna go. I'll go Remote Mines, Flight Harness, Hellion. Which moves Silk over, and then Silk will move again because a card was played onto Silk. Or not. Scarlet Witch turns into that. Okay, okay. So I go Spider-Punk, Silk, Raven. No, let's go Spider-Punk, Craven, Stomper. Then all my cards are now gonna go left here. Welp, we will take a casserole. After this, we gotta get. Does Silk move after Hulkbuster? I don't know. What about the other milks? I have never had Canadian bag milk. I have no idea. I have no idea. I'm gonna do Craven left. Radona. Okay, so I should be able to do Viv kind of wherever, I think. Ooh, yes. This should be good. This should be really good. I think she moves. Do you think she moves after the Hulkbuster? Is this about to be some sort of... It's either negative or... Man spider... Man spider. They're about to eat the sage. Sage is about to get eaten. Eaten. And then if I get a cannonball, we'll snap into cannonball, but I don't know. I don't know if we're going to be able to get that cannonball play we want. Because our hand is also a little freaky. There's the man spider. Holy smokes. Is this Phoenix Force Man Spider? Bro, this is the Phoenix Spider. Oh, this is crazy. Yeah, this is wild. Yes, that is the Phoenix Force Spider. The Phoenix Spider is in the building. Kid Omega. Kid Omega 2. I get Vibro Shock. I also did not realize there's the Phoenix Force. All right. So Zola, right? Did they draw Zola? What do we think, guys? Do we think they draw? Do we think they drew Zola? They Shadow King themselves. They have one card. They have one card left. Did they draw? Did they top deck the Zola? Surely not. Surely they did not top deck the Zola, right? Oh my gosh. Rachel Ghoul. The Rachel Ghoul. Zenla gives me Mercury. Okay. We get Silk into Craven things. They go Chavez. Dream Dimension. Go Craven. Let's go and do some Craven things. Squirrel Girl. Ooh, this is interesting. Bob. Ooh, that's awesome for us. This is like a total destroy deck, though, right? This has to be just like destroy things. Like, there's no way it isn't, right? Actually, can I order that properly too? Holy smokes. Black cat. Okay. Yeah, this just like screams destroy to me. Screams it. I'm gonna snap into that. Bob does move here. Or it could be a mission deck, also true. Bob does move. Silk goes there. Alright, cool. There's Mockingbird, Miles. Okay. Wait, that's actually kind of overkill, isn't it? No, I actually need to do this because they can play card onto Silk. So it's this, that. Could also be Ultra. Nah, maybe Ultron things. Blue Marvel. Okay. To see it. Brooklyn Bridge. We might end up going to our last deck, actually. That's what we'll do. We'll go over to our last deck after this one. Which is like a legit like full tech deck. Full tech deck. Because I've just been very unlucky. Very, very unlucky. What are we doing? Fabled? All right. Super flow. Welp. Got an interesting start here. We will be able to move the Batroc. But what will we be able to do after that? Is this Victoria Hand things? Mirage gets my Silk. All right. All right. So this is going to be Victoria Hand things now. Good old Vicky Hand. A good old Vicky Hand. A full float. A full float. Move this over. I have the Spider Punk. Is Fabled still here? Is Fabled still with us? What is happening? What is happening? Bro, did this game crash? Maybe the game crashed getting the silk here? Okay, no. All right. They Nico add another demon. So that merges with Agony into Frigga. Okay, so they're gonna have demons all over the place here, huh? All over the place here. Yeah, it's just very interesting, right? They're snapping me. The snap. Okay, so Silk goes left. I don't hate this, actually. The thing is, I have Mercury to mess around with some things here. Like, I have some interesting stuff to make it so we can win this game. They Deafening Chord, which hits the shield. Okay, they Iron Patriot. Moves that middle. They Vic, moves that back. And Demon. Okay. So if I move... If I move this here... That moves first, which moves Batroc. I move that there. I move this here. I do this, and I do that. We have a really good chance to win the game here off of that play. So I don't mind staying in this. I can't snap back. But I think we stay in this here. They don't have another Victoria hand. They have another demon. So they have two demons, right? Because they frigate a demon. They have another demon plus whatever the Iron Patriot card was. And fortunately, Deafening Chord did get hit by... Or Deafening Chord did hit the shield. Of course, we're going to get hit probably by a Shadow King. Which is, do they Shadow King right or do they Shadow King middle? There is my Silk. There's the Silk and Demon. Cannonball hits that Demon, which wins this here. And then I have Miles, and then both of these get destroyed, and we win. Cool. That will work. So that also would have been unfortunate. So we had a really, really solid, like, kind of opportunity there. The Red Hulk. Good old Brazilian airship. Okay, so I'm going to go Craven. I was going to go Craven into Silk, but now I'm going to do some Batroc Silk things. Okay. So I go... Ooh. Damn. I'm going to do it actually on the far right here. We do this. It gives us Prowler value. Batroc also moves over. I love that for us. Really good starting point. into Wave. So they're going to play out Red Hulk probably this next turn, is what it probably looks like here. I go... We go Viv. Aha! Oh my gosh. All right, what we got going on here? Ooh, this actually is pretty cool. So we get a pretty much like a almost free move here. Batroc. Okay. Smart play. I'm gonna go Craven. No, my Viv! Oh, no Jug, though. No Jug is nice. They go Craven on there. No! No! Okay, Batroc, Spider-Punk. So I go Prowler. Remote Mines and Flight Harness is cool. Spider-Man moves left, which moves the shield. Okay. I'm going to move Spider-Punk middle. Let me actually, no, we're going to move Spider-Punk right into Hellion middle. And I'm going to do Remote Mines left. Go Hellion. Remote Mines. Hits both of those into Arrow. Wait, what? Why didn't this move? Wait, genuinely, why did... Is that a bug? Wait, that's gotta be... Okay. This moves over. I am doing good, Kurto. How are you doing, my friend? Into Stomper, which Stomper then moves far left. And then I have Silk here, too. I go Silk. They go Kingpin. That moves middle. And they go Cannonball, which moves Stomper all the way right. Oh, no. Oh, no. Bro. Holy smokes. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. If you guys did stick around the very end, let me know down below. How have you guys been enjoying the Prowler after day one? I've really enjoyed the card. I think it's a very solid card, a very good card. I'm glad I suggested that we buy that card, spoiler alert, because I think it is one of the better cards of the season, even if you don't get the skills to be a 0 cost. I think even at 1 cost, they're insane. I mean, like, Merlin skills are 1 cost. Really good. But yeah, I think the card's incredible. Easily one of the best cards of the season. But that is the gist of the video. If you guys did enjoy it, like I said, definitely feel free to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new. Let me know down below if there's also any other types of videos you would like to see in the future. I can see if maybe I can make some of that happen. But yeah, it's been real. God bless, and happy Thanksgiving, and Tucker out.